Speak to me, Warriors, as we've been called once again to retire the Macho Man in action figure form with the Ultimate Edition Wrestlemania 7 Ultimate Warrior.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE Mattel Ultimate Edition unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we got my all-time favorite, we got the Ultimate Warrior. But remember, for all your Ultimate Warrior needs and all your Mattel, WWE, AEW, Jazzwares needs, and a whole lot more to be hitting up Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10% in Ultimate Warrior shipping right now. As we can see, as the Ultimate Warrior is here at the table, and it's always exciting for me to get to unbox an Ultimate Warrior figure. And it's been a great year here in 2022 as we have gotten Warrior after Warrior after Warrior. It's like 1989 all over again. Well, not really. We got more Ultimate Warriors this year than we did in the whole Hasbro LJN combined. But a beautiful day to be a figure collector. It's always a beautiful day to be a figure collector. And it's always a beautiful day to have the Ultimate Warrior here at the table. But of course, we're going to do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Let's take a look at the old Ultimate one. The old Ultimate Warrior in his Wrestlemania 7 gear. Of course, we remember Wrestlemania 7, where the Ultimate Warrior retired the Macho Man. And then Warrior said, it's okay, you can come out of retirement, take on Jake the Snake. They said they had to consult with Jack Tunney, but I think he really had to go to the Ultimate Warrior in the locker room and say, Warrior, can I do it? Can I come back? And he blessed him and let Macho Man come back to work. But the Ultimate Warrior Wrestlemania 7, career versus career. A lot of people kind of forget about that. Warrior's career was on the line. When the chips are down, the Warrior strikes, and the Warrior won that match, as we all know. As a little kid, I never doubted the Ultimate Warrior was going to win for 1 second, but I never doubted him winning against Hulk Hogan. But I guess I was a little bit more unsure. There was a little bit of doubt, maybe half of 1% doubt he was going to lose to the Hulkster as a kid. But I was 100% confident he was going to take out the Macho Man for whatever reason. But that's the way it goes sometimes. But there's the old Warrior Familiar Ultimate Edition packaging. These will be at retail, not just Ringside Collectibles, but Ringside's going to have them way ahead of traditional retail. But eventually they should hit the Target stores, probably in 2023, I would have to imagine. But all kinds of accessories there with the old Ultimate one looking really good. On the side, there he is, looking only like an Ultimate Warrior could look in the Ultimate Edition in his Wrestlemania 7 gear. And then you get Ultimate Warrior on the side there. And then the back, oh, that's where the magic happens. You got the blurb, you got the tail of the tape, you got the two different glamour shots, one from the end of the match, one in action figure form. Very cool. Let's see what it says about my boy, the Ultimate Warrior. Height 6'2", from parts unknown, beautiful year around. Finisher, Gorilla Press Slam, career highlights, WWE Champion. After Macho King Randy Savage cost Ultimate Warrior the WWE Championship, which was one of the biggest travesties in all of wrestling history. I'll never forget that Royal Rumble match. Unbelievable. Sergeant Slaughter, how does he sleep at night? What's the Nemesis Enforcer? I don't know. The Warrior loaded up his spaceship for a crash landing at WrestleMania 7. With both superstars' careers on the line, with the power of the Warriors running through his veins, I was one of those, the Ultimate Warrior prevailed. And yes, he did. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget all those elbow drops that the Warrior took and just shrugged them off. Shrugged them off like it was no big deal. What a time to be alive. Truly indeed for little Kyle. Truly for old Kyle too. What am I saying here? But of course he's opened up like a shoebox. We're used to the packaging by now. But why don't you speak to me, Warriors, right there. And then the other side here, the spirit of the Ultimate Warrior will run forever. And it truly will. Quite the deal, of course. We're going to put this off to the side. There's the Warrior. How about a little plastic prison? Look at that. Look at that. The Warrior. Of course, this is the 3rd edition of the Ultimate Warrior in the Ultimate Edition line. Pretty awesome. I'm more Warriors the better. You guys know me by now. I'm all in with all the Warriors I can get. Got no problem with more Warriors. Even though there is some Warriors I would have rather had probably than this one. As, you know, the defining moment was good enough for me. But once again, we got to understand there's a lot of new collectors. That defining moment came out just ages ago. Uh-oh, we're locked in here. Let me get him out of the package here. Cut him at his arms. Always playing tricks with me, Mattel. You're always over the place. Sometimes we got locked in. Sometimes we're not locked in. Can never figure it out anymore. They always keep me guessing. Keep me guessing on a daily basis. There it is. I think we're good. I think we're good. We are... Geez, we're locked in at the feet, too. What are we doing, Mattel? I get it. It's the power of the Ultimate Warrior. They don't want to run... They don't want it to run forever out of the plastic unless you cut it out, apparently, is the thing. But there it is. See you later. Goodbye. Get out of here. See you later, Spider-Man style. Off to the races. We got twist tie things everywhere. We got a mess. We got a mess here. All right, there we are. Now we're getting down to business. We're getting down to business here. And of course, we're going to start with the accessories as we usually do. Let's start with these hands. And like I was saying, this is the 3rd edition of the Ultimate Warrior in the Ultimate line. Got to think some more will come. But this is Wrestlemania 7, which is one of his pivotal matches, one of the biggest matches of his career, no doubt. So I can see wanting to put this in the Ultimate line, but we did get him in the Defining Moments line many, many years ago. But there's so many new collectors now that missed out on that one. So I understand this is a way to get it back out there. Not good for a long-time collector like me, but putting that business hat on, it makes all the sense in the world. As I always say, Mattel, whoever we're talking about, they're not a non-profit. What's going to get them the most money? Well, obviously WrestleMania 6, obviously WrestleMania 7 is a big deal in the Ultimate Warrior figures or in real life, whatever you want to call it. It's a big deal. It's going to make some money. So I totally understand this. Honestly, as you guys know, there's probably a deeper cut I would have liked, but that's not me. I'm not everyone. So there you go. But extra hands here. We get the open hands. I have these on my NWO or my One Warrior Nation Ultimate Warrior, but he's got the open hands, the crazy kind of maniacal hands. We've seen those before. And then the pointing fingers. I like this one a whole lot. The 2 pointing fingers there for the Ultimate Warrior. Look really good. Of course, we've seen hands a million times, but we can have them charge into the ring. We can have the hand up. We can do all that kind of stuff. And then we get down to the details here, and some might say the devil's in the details. I wouldn't, but somebody would. But we get a little extra Ultimate Warrior goodness here. This is very, very cool. So we get the Duster. Now, we did see the Duster in the Defining Moment edition, and I might as well grab that now. Might as well take a peek at it right here. And I'm looking at it. Is it the exact same? I doubt it. They wouldn't. Would they? Boy, it's pretty close, but no, it is different. Yeah, it is definitely different. I'm not going to say, let's see. Similar but different, as they say. A little bit more vibrant on this new one. Of course, the Warrior logo, as I lose the stand. The Warrior logo is different on the back of these two, so you get different ones. So there's enough differences here. Of course, you could take the Duster off one of them, have them feel like really different figures. That's always a possibility as well. But of course, you got the Macho Man, the Ultimate Warrior on the back. You got the splatter paint on the new one. Don't have the splatter paint on this one. A more fiery collar on the new one compared to the old one. Definitely enough differences to be dangerous. I think all day long. Yeah, and same thing on the top. On the top up here, you get the Warrior logos, no splatter paint. You get a more vibrant Ultimate Warrior on the side. So there's enough Duster differences to make it different. But then the big one here is the addition of the overlay. Now, he came to the ring with this overlay over this Duster, and then, of course, we remember at the end of the match, which I always thought was a little bit strange, that the Warrior put his jacket back on and then went back to the back with the jacket. Always thought that was a little weird with him at the end, but this does go over the jacket, of course. Nice little strands going down here. Got blue and yellow. Feels real good, like kind of his tassels that we've seen in Ultimate Warrior figures in the past. Got a little Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior graphics here. It shows Macho Man jumping off the top rope, Warrior down on the ground. That's interesting. And then you got Ultimate Warrior gorilla pressing Macho Man on the top there. And then you got a crazy Warrior logo with some eyes on there. And then you got the Ultimate Warrior on the front of the tassels. And you could technically, I guess, use it for this one too if you wanted to put it on there. Have to move the head around a little bit, but cool enough accessories, nice. Not necessarily soft goods. I guess soft goods in the Duster, but hard plastic in that. First time in the line we've seen this, so I like that all day. Then we get an extra head with the Warrior here, and let's break down the two heads on the Ultimate Warrior, and then we'll dive into the articulation and everything else we usually do here. Looking at the heads on the Ultimate Warrior, a lot of rough feedback online when these were first posted. I don't know if it was WrestleMania weekend we first saw this one. I can't remember, but it is an interesting look for the Warrior. Now, we do get the same face, it looks like, twice, one with paint, one without paint. Of course, without paint is the after-match look. That's how he looked after the match, of course, all the paint off his face. It's an interesting one, and like a lot of these figures, and it really does happen with Jazzwares the most, but occasionally with Mattel. These do look better in hand. These do look a lot better in hand. It is still weird, this Ultimate Warrior face, though, and I remember very clearly at this time, he had a very, almost for a lack of a better term, like a horse face going on. That's what it always kind of reminded me of. You know, his teeth, everything showing. It just always looked a little strange. And we didn't see him without makeup a whole lot, but it did look really strange. But he looked a little, I don't know if gaunt is the right word, but he definitely looked different from WrestleMania 6, for example. So I do think this looks like him. It's just not the most iconic look. Probably nowhere near the most iconic look of the Ultimate Warrior without face paint. But then you throw the hair, which is kind of down. Obviously, all the sweat, everything in it. It's really not clicking with a lot of people as the Ultimate Warrior, but it really is after match. He wasn't like ready to go like when he came to the ring, of course, after the match. He sweated all the face paint off, his hair all down. Any hairspray or stuff he had, sweated out. That's just the way it goes. But a very, very good, I wouldn't say great, Ultimate Warrior head scan here. And I will probably pick up a couple extra of these eventually. You guys know me, I'm a sucker for the Ultimate Warrior. And I may display one with this head, we'll see. But if I had to choose between the two, I'm going face paint all day long, and that's really how it goes with Ultimate Warrior, of course. So there is that. Now we get down to the other Ultimate Warrior, or I guess the other Ultimate Warrior head, we'll call it. And this is the more warrior on the way to the ring. He's got the blonde highlights going on. Definitely has the face paint. One of the worst face paints for the Ultimate Warrior in WrestleMania 7, though. I never really jived with the face paint. It always looked a little strange to me. Just not as good as I would have liked it. A little too plain Jane, maybe. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it's just, once again, good, not great in the face paint department, but it is iconic in its own way. Of course, this is Mania face paint, so it'll live on forever, as they say. But it does look good. He's got a little buck teeth action going on, a little bit of teeth coming out of the mouth, a little huff and puff, blow your house down, Ultimate Warrior promo kind of look to him. But it is what it is. But the hair looks really, really good. Blonde, kind of dirty wash blonde hair like Warrior had at the time. That looks pretty good. But let's break down the articulation on this guy real quick. Of course, the butterfly shoulders, staple of the Ultimate Editions at this point. Everybody loves the old butterfly, except the people that don't. There you go. But I always have a gripe, and I always call it out. The back always looks a little funny. It's just kind of the way it goes. But if you have the duster on and stuff, it will block all this, so you wouldn't have to really worry about it. Of course, arms go all the way around really easily. Bicep cut, double jointed, pinless elbows. Of course, the hands, removable hands back and forth like we're accustomed to. Got the nice hula hoop there at the top. You got the waist articulation. Of course, you can do that Ultimate Warrior split. Not super deep, but once again, he is not Spider-Man, as we all know. He is not. And then you do got drop-down hips on this one, so it's like a young G.I. Joe a little bit. I am not the biggest fan of the drop-down hits. I don't like them with the G.I. Joe Classified. I don't really need them for my wrestling. I would rather have better foot articulation for the Elites and the Ultimates, even beyond this, than the drop-down hips. It always just looks a little strange to me. I just feel like it's unneeded, and it does get in the way of some of the movements in the Classified series, and I do think we'll have that same problem in the Mattel Ultimate series from time to time. But it does have the drop-down hips, which is new articulation in the Ultimate line. You do get the thigh cut. You do get the double-jointed knees, of course. You do get boot cut. You do get ankles back and forth, up and down. I just wish there was a little bit more give to the ankles from Mattel. And then, of course, the toe articulation that might make Todd McFarlane blush, but we do got that. So all the articulation you could want in this one. Of course, head removable, as you'd imagine. We got extra heads with this. Breaking down the attire a little bit, you got the classic Ultimate Warrior tights with him and Macho Man on the tights. Means much more than this. Very cool on the back. I don't even remember this, but obviously it's on there. But means much more than this with the world title belt back there. Talk about a blood feud. That's what you would call that. Nobody wants to be retired, but the Ultimate Warrior, he had to do it. He had to put the Macho Man out to pasture is what he had to do. And it's crazy to think Macho Man came back, a year and a half, 2 years later. What is time anymore? And then had a huge run in WCW. So it definitely was not the end of his career, as we do know. But the Ultimate Warrior on the knee pads there. You got Macho Man. You got Ultimate Warrior on the knee pads. Look really good. Of course, you got the tassels going on. And falling off. Of course, they do just plug in, which is nice. You can remove them if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but the option is yours. But they do have those. Of course, the tassels, not soft. I would like to see soft, good tassels one of these days. I know that's not for everybody, but guess what? Plastic tassels aren't for everybody. So let's try to mix it up, or give us the option of both. Put them both in the package. Let us choose our own adventure there. But boy, oh boy, is this very cool. This is actually better than expected for me. I wouldn't say I was down on this one. I just didn't like the looks like a lot of people did on the head sculpts, head scans on these. I thought it looked just a bit off. It definitely looks better in hand, so I'm happy to report on that. I do like it a lot better in hand, and that's usually the way it goes. Sometimes the camera lies. The camera lies from time to time, I guess. But we're going to stick him on a stand. Let's see how he fits on the old ringside collectible WWE stands. What do you know? He fits like a glove. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10% on the Ultimate Warrior, but save yourself 10% on these stands. Of course, I use them for everything under the sun, as you guys know. But another warrior on the shelf is always a good day at the office for me. I'm always happy for that. Of course, we've had many other Ultimate Warriors. I do have the old One Warrior Nation Ultimate Warrior here from his WCW time. Of course, the last Ultimate Edition of the Ultimate Warrior. A lot of Ultimates going on. We got that, of course, Wrestlemania 6. The greatest time, the greatest day in wrestling of history, of course. So we do have that. We have the old defining moment right here. And then might as well grab the Macho Man defining moment. I gotta imagine we're gonna get a King Macho Man in the Ultimate line, and I would not be shocked to see this ran back in the Ultimate line as well. You got Warrior, kind of makes a lot of sense, don't you think? So I wouldn't be shocked to see this down the line. But there it is, Macho Man. Sorry about your luck. You're out of a job after this night in WrestleMania 7, but very cool, very classic wrestling, and a defining moment for sure. And now an ultimate moment is what we have from Mattel. But what's your guys' thoughts out there in YouTube land? All in, all out, picking it up day one, playing the long game? Let me know your thoughts on Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 7 Ultimate Edition. Very, very good for me, but I'm a little biased. You guys know that. But let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to like this video. You made it this far. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day, and then some. Even more content over on the Patreon. Link in the description below. We got bonus content, exclusive content, monthly giveaways, pizza reviews, dog stuff, Q&As, you name it. A lot going on over there on the Patreon. Love to have you a part, and of course, it is the best way to support the channel. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget to follow along on social media at SirPaul64, on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the Ultimate Warrior, I'm Kyle, and I'll see you guys all real soon.